One, two, three. One. Welcome everybody to Mom and Dad Talks, where our favorite two people are Mom and Dad. And how you doing, Mom and Dad?
Doing fine, doing fine.
All right. Well, today's discussion, just us today, folk. Again, um, it's a very interesting subject. How do you keep your child from being a brat? And we'll talk about a little bit what's the detriments of having a child that has bratty behavior. A lot of parents, how does it start? Basically, how do you try to nip that in the bud? How do you recognize it? A lot of people say, why did I have a bratty child? Well, there's a lot of reasons why you didn't have a bratty child, because there's certain tendencies, there's certain things that has to happen to understand, because at the end of the day, when you bring a child in this world, or you're watching a child, or you're keeping a child, that child needs your attention. And sometimes that attention is negative or positive, but that child is going to want your attention. They're going to want to be the centerpiece. Whether another child came in there and knocked them out of their seat, whatever, and they got to find their own space. They don't feel the love. There's a lot of things that transpire. But Mom and Dad, can you talk about that? Because you've seen bratty behavior, but how can parents help curb or eliminate that?
Well, okay, there's a reason for bratty behavior, and usually it's because that child desires attention, and he's not getting it. So they'll do things to get your attention, whether it's positive or negative things.
And I'm going to say that sometimes parents are not zeroing in on their child to really recognize that that's going on either. They can say, "Oh, man, he's not." They can be parents can be in denial, which would cause the child to, keep going on what he's doing if the mother doesn't want to believe that he's actually a bratty child. The mother parents are in denial. That's the reason why the child stays a bratty child to me.
And another thing too I want to bring out here is that a lot of times with a child, if they get away with something that they shouldn't get away with, in their mind, I'll just keep on wearing my parents down until I get my way. Oh, they came in the one time, I'll just keep on doing, and they get longer and longer because you gave away that one time that you shouldn't have given it when you said no, this is not happening, or no, without what's the way you can get something back. I see it all the time with parents where they're like, oh, I told you no. Okay, here you go. You know what? That child just says, oh, all I got to do is just keep on begging and get into their face and I'll get what I want. Versus, no, you're not going to get what you want. This is not acceptable behavior. And you're going to have to wait a while till I say it's done. And you let that child, they can, if you mope, you get, some type of punishment. Of course, I grew up in the era of don't spare the rod. Don't spare. We'll take care of that attitude issue. Yeah. It's very hard for people to really understand that, but it actually turns into bigger problems down the road. So talk a little bit more about that, Mom and Dad.
I see a lot of that at the supermarket, where a child will be in a carriage or in the cart, and they go up to check out, and the child will see candy on the shelves, and they'll reach for it. They want the candy. Well, the parent now has to make a decision. Do I give them the candy, or do I say no, or put it back? And really, it depends on the discipline of the parent. If the parent is a strong disciplinarian, well, the child knows that when the parent says no, that's it.
Yeah, and and let's just be real. At the end of the day, you have to have a loving part. You just can't be total disciplinarian, because that's too cold. The child doesn't sense love, but just show the love to that child that, when you do what is proper and right, I love you more. I'm still going to love you, but I love you more. And you get more things when you do the right things, and you get things that you didn't even think about if you just keep on doing right. It's that positive behavior that you're trying to get the child to go through. That negative behavior, for me, kids, when they come to me with that negative behavior, it's a turnoff. I'm like, well, I can do this all day. This don't bother me. In fact, I look at it as a game at that point. How many ways can we make you miserable? Because I know I hold the keys to this car and you can whine and scream, but I'm going to make sure you're not going to win this one, because all it takes is one time for them to win that, and they feel like they can do it again and again. But you got to be hard. You got to stay fast. And sometimes you got to, come a little harder than expected, so that way they don't do it again, to deter that behavior.
Yeah, it's called tough love. Sometimes you have to be tough, but you cannot be too tough where the child feels intimidated.
Yeah.
Intimidated, and you don't want to, how do you say, break the child's spirit.
Right.
So,
we were talking a little bit earlier when I had a child there. She cut up in the store, flopped on the floor, showed bratty behavior. My wife just flat out said, "Get up off the floor. We don't do that here." And when she saw that she wasn't going to respond to that in any way, she got up and like, "Okay, this didn't work."
that's right.
And it's just like, that is one way not to get my daddy's attention, is that kind of behavior, and I'll ignore you.
See, that's the reason why it's up to the parent to really be zeroing in on the child and what their behavior is. Because if they are not aware that the child is doing what it's doing, the child is going to say, "Okay, well, I can do that. Mom and Dad, they aren't even paying attention to me."
Yeah. And another thing I want to help people out is, surprise your child with something nice when they're doing nice things for a while. Just because. Just because you're nice. Why did I get this? Because you've been acting really, really good and you deserve this. Wow. They weren't seeing that coming, and that starts encouraging the other opposite direction. Let me just do more good. What else are they going to give me? And not that you necessarily do it for that, but you're trying to train. Hate to say, and as a way of training, you want to make sure that they feel the love, that they understand, hey, this kind of positive stuff is where we want you to go, and negative things will happen. Because in life, if you do more positive than negatives, you'll probably have a better outcome. But if you do a lot more negatives than positives, you're going to have a rough life. You're going to have things will be chasing you versus you going out and getting things. Well, any parting thoughts before we end with this discussion? Because it's a real good one here.
And the rule of thumb is reward them twice and punish them once. Your rewards are more than your punishments, because that is a way to really have a stubborn child, a child that you cannot control, is when you punish them too much. It's like if you take a puppy and you kick the puppy all the time, that puppy will grow up to be a very vicious dog. But when you caress the puppy and you feed treats and everything, that puppy will respond to you in a loving manner, not a hating manner. So there's a fine line that you have to, as a parent, you have to walk between love and hate.
Yeah.
My child, my son, to love me than to hate me. It makes for a good child.
Yeah.
Like you.
Oh, thanks, Mom and Dad.
That's the reason why we're sort of not, really up on the subject of this, because we had a child and you were the one, and we didn't have to go through any of this.
Well, like I said, the things I remember growing up is you always had a sense of purpose and love. There was always a thing you introduced me to. Hey, this is what you want to try next. If you didn't see a progression, then you introduced the progression. This is what you need to do. I mean, I didn't care to drive a car. I was happy riding for the rest of my life. But, you got, oh, you're going to get a license. You're going to drive. Yeah, we're not going to be driving you around forever. This is something you're going to do. So I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know I was supposed to do it. I was happy with everything else. Everything was going well with me. But it was a very important lesson. I didn't have to see my friends drive before me. But you said, well, because you behave and you do a lot of good stuff, this is a reward that I didn't even know I needed to have. Now, I still don't like driving a whole lot, but I drive and I see the benefits of it. And you get a job, you can go places because, having people take you around. But when you're a bratty, you don't get benefits. So They just want to let everybody know, like us and share us there. We're on Sustain the Changes on YouTube station right there. And please come out there and just give your support what topics you want us to even talk about more and stuff. But we thank everybody for looking at Mom and Dad Talks Today and supporting us and watching us. And I hope you guys are blessed today by us. Till next time, we'll see you on Mom and Dad Talk.